To hey hey.
We're back, yo. My gosh, sorry.
We're
Yeah,
back. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, hey.
yep, needs must and all that. And here we are, and we are going to continue our discussion about speculating about this. I'm really loving what I'm hearing from Saja and Mark. Gamer Dan.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Let me just put. I'm going to send a big DM to you, Gamer Dan. Uh,
So we were talking a little bit about the joy that can come from online gaming. Oh, that's a good point. Change my name to Gamer Dan. Always forget. Um, but it's amazing. Some of the friends you can make online with long time gaming, it's just incredible.
it's a way of life, people. But you don't need to know that, people. You know that already. So we are gamers for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During our short
But
break, me and Gamer Dan were talking about, the multiplayer online game and the friendships I've made with people over the years in other parts of the world that I've never met in person, but we've become longtime friends, on our adventures together in the gaming world. So,
that's great. Oh my God.
and I just met up with one of those friends in person that came all the way to Japan and actually flew down to Okinawa just to visit me and meet me in
No
person.
way.
See,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
that warms my heart.
Yeah.
I get frustrated when people refer to games as a hobby because I don't think of it as a hobby anymore. It's more of a passion. You can
Yes, a
enjoy it
passion.
passively, but you can really go deep into it.
That is it.
Mhm.
However
Positive
far you want
points.
to go, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, moving
It's,
along. We're going to watch a few more predictions and then we're going to tail end this thing. So we were talking
Okay.
about the C button, the connect button. We think that possibly this could be like an all-inclusive connect to wireless products, to your phone, to other consoles, to the TV, to be able to cast or to stream directly the footage on TV, which would mean you have two screens. Which, woohoo, let's have the Nintendo DS come to, you know, come back. Let's have some
I'm
games
thinking
played the way
that
they should be played with two screens.
And just
dual
completely
screens would be
seamless
good.
and intuitive to just hit that button and suddenly whatever is around you that you could connect to, whether it's another system or a phone or a dock or whatever, it's easy, it's quick. The Switch 2 is going to be all about social features. That's going to be its whole thing. They want people to take this system out. They want people to connect this system with other people. There's going to be loads of multiplayer social games, and that is why I am adjusting my prediction in regards to launch title. I've been talking up a 3D Mario at launch for a long time. But you know what? I'm going to change it. It's Animal Crossing. It's Animal Crossing. 2025, that'll be 5 years since Animal Crossing New Horizons. More than enough time to do a new one. Animal Crossing has always been decently popular, but in 2020 it established itself as one of Nintendo's absolute top performing IPs. So if the Switch 2 is all about social functionality, then day one, it's Animal Crossing. And this game is going to be probably just wishful thinking here, but I'm predicting that it'll be everything that New Horizons should have been. Seamless, hop in, hop out multiplayer. If you're next to someone else, you've got your system, they've got theirs, you hit the connect button, super easy to hop into their town. It's also really easy to just jump on the train and travel to any other town among your friends or other people online. If they've got their gates open, way, way, way easier to just drop in, drop out. People are not, they're not interrupted every time a change happens. It's going to be quick and it's going to be easy and fun. And it's going to take the New Horizons concept and go even further with it, even more just customization of your town. And now the idea is you want to like build attractions and parks and maybe even like stores and things where you want other people from around the world to come to your town and just hang out in it and socialize in it because it is a cool place. That's going to be the thing. You're trying to like attract people to just come and hang out. You can like build stores and things, and we build a little like coffee shop. And when people come and buy coffee full of launch titles, probably some little like blue oceany Joy-Con stuff that Nintendo loves to do. But the other major title at launch will be a Tears of the Kingdom remaster. Nintendo is going to be doing a good number of remasters of Switch games in the same way that they did a lot of like ports of Wii U games on the original Switch. These are kind of going to be like glorified deluxe editions, any game that gets remastered will come with any DLC that that launched for it, they're not going to look that much better. They're not going to be like full remasters. It's going to be more about just like, you know, up-resing the textures, higher resolution, better frame rates, maybe like HDR or something. And in the case of Tears of the Kingdom, you know, just like better draw distance and stuff like that. The Switch.
So,
All right, I'm
if
getting
the
this.
the console is aiming for a far more multiplayer or at least connected social aspect, what are the games going to be? What's the games at launch? What are the games are they going to lean into? I'm not an Animal Crossing fan. Never got into it, but I can absolutely understand that it was popular before the COVID. Having the
Yeah,
last game appear during COVID, it went off like gangbusters. That game was so
yes.
crazy popular.
Preach.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's now a household name. It's
Mm.
absolutely a Nintendo title. You can, if they come out and they go, "Hey, our new console is all about connecting with people," connect to Animal Crossing. That makes a lot of sense.
Dude, you got to, and let me see, let me throw something in there, people. I got to take a moment to plug my thing. For those of you who knew that I was aiming to do this Christmas playlist thing project, I was trying to get people to collaborate. I'm moving that into next year with a particular theme of a certain game. The game is what I think is very has a lot of social presence that I think instead of draw more from Minecraft. Now, the reason I say that is
Hmm.
because the Minecraft community community is something that it just keeps growing. I would have thought that by now it would kind of seem the end, or not be, or it would have kind of run itself out a bit more. But it's a very creative thing, and I'm dealing with a school right now that actually teaches. I'm involved in, by the way, Minecraft. So what was it? Minecraft world development for competitions and so on. And I'm thinking wider world competitions. If you can use this to socialize more and more, they said, no, I'm going to draw from there. So I draw from their other out outlets, you know, like the plus the amusement park and the museum that we've been covering recently came with them, and especially with that watch that you can buy at the park that you can essentially go amiibo on, if you will, in manner of speaking. You have a potential to um, spread the word, I think, a bit more with more social. This could be, that's what I'm trying to say. This feels like it has a potential to be another Wii in that if you really make a lot of the social interactions, you can create something of what the Wii had where you were the entertainment. People seeing you trying to play tennis by swinging your arm in front of the TV is now more attractive than watching the tennis player on the screen do it. Because it's like, what's going on in my social atmosphere? You get people taking the Switch experience to different social integrations and so on. People start seeing people instead of thinking that you're going to connect forward, I think you're playing the Switch. It will be like the Switch, well, Switch 2, if you will. Well, it could be kind of a sort of social phenomenon if you integrate gameplay into more social experiences and get people doing these like almost like TikTok challenge versions of a Switch social challenge, if that makes sense. If you
Mm.
can kind of pick something up. My brain's what I'm saying there. As far as the hardcore games are concerned, I haven't got much to say about that, but I can see the social angle being what Nintendo may want to capitalize on, especially with the delay in a Mario Brothers sequel by now. So they just got to keep it that keep while the irons hot, keep the social buzz going and see if they can capitalize on that or something. Moving. And I should lost to hear what Saja thinks also, but maybe mull that one over here with Dan just for a moment. Saja, what did you have in mind to say?
Well, in terms of like the multiplayer side of things with like the Animal Crossing, the definitely the timing with COVID was a benefit to the timing of the release of that game, and the social, online communication and like play together with other people online was a big factor of that. And I'm a big Final Fantasy 14 MMORPG player. However, there's a group of Japanese 14 players that I'm a member with that I play on a Japanese data center, and we have a Discord, and they have a Minecraft server that the
Mm.
14 players will play Minecraft and do like creating things in this Minecraft, playground, sandbox, whatever, together there. So it's like they also play Animal Crossing or they play Splatoon with each other. So it's like we kind of met each other through Final Fantasy 14, but then that group of friendships that we made there, we are like cross-platforming to like Nintendo Switch games and Minecraft and other ones where there's that social multiplayer interaction where we can still do things together in other formats and whatnot as well. So I'm really fascinated and enjoy that side of gaming a lot, where we can interconnect with each other in different types of games or, situations and whatnot. So I'm looking forward with the Switch 2 to seeing where they take that in the next generation. Like, how does that, with that connectivity button and everything with like, LAN parties like locally or through the wider internet globally, how will that all multiplayer work? That's what I'm really excited about.
I like
Oh my
I like his
God.
argument when he was talking about Animal Crossing. He said that the next one potentially, if it was going to do it, it should be what the last game should have been, which was seamless. You go into the game, you have your island or your town, and you can decorate it and organize it however you like. But then you could just instantly go into someone else's. And if you were two people who are playing, you just go into their town. You can leave the left side of your town into the right side of the next person's town, and then you can go and look at their town, and then vice versa. And then jump on the train and go to anyone on your friends list and visit anyone else's town just instantly. And that seamlessness of connectivity, if they could pull that off, or some game could pull this off more naturally, that's going to be a big, big win because it will begin to give console players the kind of interconnectivity that MMOs have long had has been a big selling point of them. Being able just to play together instantly, easily, effortlessly. You don't have to go through barriers, put in codes, none of that. It's just we're in the same world. It's just a matter of meeting up. That's going to be a big, big sell. And if they are going to go with this connectivity idea. It's going to be interesting. I am concerned by the how flippantly Arlo, the narrator, is talking about re-releasing upscaled versions of our Switch games. Yeah, I understood that a lot of Wii U games didn't get the kind of attention that they deserve. There were some absolutely banger games, some amazing games brought over to the Switch, to a bigger market, to a bigger audience. But the idea that every generation they're just going to take the highlights of the last generation and then double dip and then sell them again. I hate that idea. I hate it with an absolute passion, but it feels so natural. Having older games from a few generations ago come back, upscaled, remapped, like when they re-released Metroid Prime, that was three console generations ago. That was an entire lifetime ago in technological terms. That makes sense. That's fine.
Yeah.
Most people playing the Switch would not have played that game. But reselling a Switch game on the Switch, on the Super Switch or the Switch 2, I can't stand that. No, I hate
I
that.
I agree with you on that. I think it's too soon and there's not
Yeah.
necessary. And that's the thing that I'm so sick with, like on the PlayStation and Xbox side of games. It's like how many like remasters of, Resident Evil do we need? Or like,
Mm.
it's like another one. It's
Yes.
like, can we move on and like, can you release like a new story, like a new game, like rather than just
Yeah.
like redoing like all these games that we've already had again and again? I don't know.
Even with AI now, maybe they can say,
I, I
we'll give AI storylines.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I
it's
understand where it makes sense with is like a three consoles ago, like to bring it out. That makes sense to me too. I get that. But
Yeah.
like if it's a recent one, you don't need to redo it, like another remaster, another recopy, just some minor technical updates or whatever. It's just, I don't think it's necessary right now.
No, it's funny you mentioned Biohazard, Resident Evil. When they re-released Resident Evil 2 and 3 in the newer form, I was like, oh, that's amazing. I love those games. I played them to death back on the Visual PlayStation. But having them again, but so upgraded, oh, I was so happy. And then I was like, yeah, and we're also bringing back Resident Evil 7. And you're like, 8's just been. That was one game ago. You know, why are you giving me 7 when 8's just gone? No. There is an argument to be made about archivalism, of how we remember the old titles. Like a lot of games were instrumental in creating new ideas or new gameplay features, and they don't get remembered because they don't get ported along. No one now has access to them. And it's a serious issue because there's large swaths of the gaming industry that we should be archiving. We should be showing to younger generations. We should be showing, oh, this is the genesis of these ideas. These are how these tropes have come about. But all we get are self-serving ones. We only have publishers re-releasing their best hits of. Yeah, okay, they were good before and maybe polished it works better, but there is as much to learn from a failure than there is as a success. And
Yes.
occasionally, I might want to go back and play some games that I enjoyed that maybe weren't so well received, but
Yeah.
I can't. The only access I can do is, touch wood, is piracy. It's the only way I'm gonna.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can get hold of these old games,
Yes,
and that's just because the wider market has decided, nope, there's no value in them. But I'm here. I'm willing to pay. Show up and take my money. I'm willing to pay. Just let me have the game I want to play.
And that's it. That's the problem. It's like when Nintendo would chase down people doing Pixar's
Yeah.
for fan games, and it's like, do you understand people are hungry for this? No, we have our own place. It's like,
Yeah.
look, man, I'm
Yeah.
going to get a torrent right now if you don't just give me this. So, and it's like, that's the
The
level
only
up.
way you really can play an old game is if you still own the console that it ran on and it's still operable and you still have the physical hardware of that game from back in the day. That's the only way you can still play some of those games.
Yeah,
No.
that is, oh my God. So, based on what I've heard so far, between that and the social aspect, I think I never thought about this before, but because I always think about the toy aspect or the new way of gameplay with Nintendo is to actually make a physical new toy, the way that the thing is held and whatnot. But they could have a new virtual toy in the form of the interactivity, if it's seamless, if it's something that promotes different forms of socializing, not just social playing, but getting together with different people. I mean, of course, going online is another issue, but if you're at least doing something where I mean, Nintendo has a presence on the iPhone, for goodness sake. If you have something where you can interact with a variety of devices and get people to spread the word that way and this way, the Switch could be switched up on, if you will, and it could become something quite innovative. But when it comes to bringing up, the golden oldies to kind of bring people back in and all that, yeah, that's like as been said before. You need to really sex it up. You got. I mean, that being said, you can't just keep adding these prefixes of these read this and read that to everything. You got to have an actual progression from the previous iteration. And then on the other hand, there's people who actually want to play the actual classics of something that they can't get their hands on. That's another part of the equation. If you give access from the Switch to another device, people want if you can reverse that I/O stream, create an alternating current, and then therefore feed emulators back onto that Switch, and then the emulations back onto that thing. And then people say, we win. So Nintendo, I understand them trying to guard everything and make sure they have control of the whole thing, but that can create frustration in and of itself. You just, like says, you got to be, Imadon says, you got to be prepared to just fail at something. Some things I have to just compromise on and just see. If they were willing to see, but
This is a company we're talking about a company giving a back door into their own IP, into their own technologies. Nintendo is famously litigious. They've sued so many people over such minor infractions, or at least threatened, lawsuits, and they've gone after YouTubers who have cracked switches or cracked games and talked about not showing how, but just acknowledging this is a thing that can be done. And then the fact that they've broached the subject or even talked about emulation in hushed whispers, they get very, very frustrated with them. But it's annoying because for a subset of gamers. We're older now. We've been around the block. We were there for the early days, and we've been through each iteration. But occasionally, I want to go back and play a game that I remember, and there's so few of them that I have. I had to go out my way and collect them. I still have my old SNES. I still have, Street Fighter, Legend of Zelda, but I don't have a GameCube. I'd like to go back and play some more custom GameCube games because that was one of my favorite consoles. But there's nothing I can do, nothing legitimately I can do.
Sounds like you need to make a trip to Akihabara and go through the used game console stores and see if you can find one used you can pick up and buy to play it on.
Yes, so Manga Soko. So
I really would, but by the time I get to the store, I have no more money. So,
yes, it's a way.
Fair point.
I bought so much Final Fantasy merch when last time I went there. I don't need it. It was just ancillary stuff, but so happy.
God. Yeah.
One
Right.
of the issues with Nintendo's online interactive things as well is there's a lot of like friend codes or like, like their user interface for like online interactions is not well set up. It's like it's not very intuitive in a sense compared to like other
Very
gaming.
defensive. There's steps you have to take.
Yeah. So I think Nintendo needs to sort of smooth out their user interface, online interactive multiplayer like infrastructure to maybe make it a little more user friendly. I think is part of the issue that they have too.
Yeah, I think it's going to protect themselves too. If somebody gets, stalked or anything with these things, then Nintendo's going to have to answer some questions. So they're thinking, forget, let's just be super stuffy about things and keep it under lock and key. But you can lock people out in the process, so you have to just smooth it out. I think, as you said, it's not that that's going to loosen out. Just smooth it.
PlayStation's famous for guarding their games or games on their platforms. Xbox, PC, and Switch games, and for some, like Rocket League and smaller party games, everyone could play. So everyone could jump in, no matter what platform you're on. You can jump in, you can play with anyone else. But PlayStation, no. If you want a PlayStation console, that's it. You want a PlayStation console, you can't play with anyone but PlayStation players because they have their own rules of, decency and security. But at this point, it's an ongoing fight. It's like every tech company. They're constantly trying to stay ahead of hackers and people trying to break these things because people will. If you have something fun, people are going to want to take it and make it their own. It's like I'm a very a vocal advocate for modding. If I buy a product, if I want to mod that product or change it, it's mine, and I will do so. And I think that's a great way, a great compromise, even with like the FromSoft games, from the Dark Souls and those progressively difficult games. Those are fantastic games with a very clear, creative direction. Good for you. I don't have the time to get good, so I'm comfortable modding a game, playing a modded game where the enemies are a little slower, I'm a little stronger. The way I can work my way through in a reasonable amount of time, and I'm not intruding. I acknowledge that I'm changing the game for my own purposes, but I'm not here to say, oh, the game needs to be changed overall for have an easy mode. No, the creator has a certain intention, fine. But in my version, on my console alone, I want the ability to change those settings. But again, it's how much power are these companies willing to give to an individual who are willing to change a product? And as we said before, if you don't own a physical copy, if it's you only buying a digital copy, you don't even own the game. You own a license. You own permission to play the game. How am I supposed to mod that?
I have not a friend, but there's somebody on YouTube who also is into gaming, but his channel's more about like Linux, Windows, Mac OS, like IT related stuff. So he knows how to, customize or like change things. So he has like a Windows computer box for gaming, but he has a Steam Deck and he runs Linux and he wants to play his window games on a portable device when he's like laying in his bed. So he bought the game. He wants, it's like he should own it. So he should be able to play it how he wants in his own way, like kind of like what you were describing there. I forget which game it was, but like the game, like pings the servers so that they know like what you're doing, and they're like, you like broke the terms of service, so we're not going to let you, like, we're suspending you from playing this game because you didn't do it the way that we want to force you to play it.
Yeah.
So
These
I didn't
security
like that.
issues occasionally
It's
screw
very, I
people
mean, yeah,
over.
Yeah.
yeah.
There was a famous case where people who
Yeah, that's it.
cracked
I
their
mean,
version of
as we're all sorry guys for the internet's a bit funny.
there was the famous case where someone had there were some unscrupulous cheaters, people who had broken their version of I think it was Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls
Hmm.
3, but they had cheated. They had absolutely broken the game, given themselves crazy power. They were well overpowered, but because that game is perpetually online, it's constantly pinging the servers. So when they accessed another player's game, that basically it left an infection, it left a corruption in, and so the server would check against the data, and it would go, "Oh, you've been found to have been cheating." But this wasn't a person who cheated. This was a person who's had been accessed by a cheater, and it was basically they were running rampant across all these gamers' files, and then the server would ping them and go, "Nope, banned. Your game is locked. You cannot play this game anymore because someone else cheated."
It's
And
very
that's just
it's just
that's a catch-all. That's such a wide net to catch a specific fish. That's brutal.
I was gonna say it's strange as I mean, as we know, as we're all as educators, as we mentioned in the last video, we know that it can be you know it's a bit it can feel a bit infantilizing the sensations for as gamers, but oh my god, it's I think it comes down to maybe it's a case by case basis thing. Guys, do you remember? I think Guru Nari did this on this channel, which he stopped YouTubing. But the action replay, or remember the Game Genie, Game Shark, those kind of things we used to be able to cheat with it. I think Nintendo sued them to but they were able to win the case because they said, no, we're not even touching your thing. We're just providing a modded version for per play session to who's playing. And Nintendo had to just take the humble pie.
Take the L.
I think sometimes you just have to fight back. A bit like if a student is understanding that I'm being a bit too draconian with my rules in the class, they can go over my head. And so, or at least argue their case to me, and I can say, okay, fair enough. I think sometimes if there's an issue, we need to have a voice to be able to voice it out, which is part of the reason why we're here on the channel. We actually voice a lot of people's concerns with the industry, games that we play, and it's just terrible when somebody on the top is trying to put a boot down on us. So we can't even get a point across. So that's why I'm multi-platform in X and Instagram and so on.
I agree with you. I agree with you because I think that it's difficult to predict. I mean, with this whole entire video has been us watching a video about a guy predicting what Switch 2 is going to do, and our own thoughts about how feasible is it, how realistic. But it is difficult to predict the way that the audience will trend, the way culture changes, because it ebbs and flows like any language. You never know the way it's going to go, no matter how hard you look at previous material. And bigger companies have been blindsided, have been burned by changes in the winds that they never really saw coming, or they could have if they stepped outside of their own garden. Bigger companies were like, yo, this is our IP, this is our technology. When you come in, you play by our rules, and then everyone else go away. But they weren't paying attention to the wider market. Nintendo's famously doesn't keep up with big game trends. And even in the film industry, we're seeing a big move towards. First, we had superheroes that kind of legitimized more geeky films, allow with the technology and a seamless, a smart business step to make it a seamless, connected environment. The MCU, a connected universe. That was a very smart move. It really invested a lot of people in this world. And recently, we've seen Mufasa come out and being absolutely smashed by Sonic 3, which who would have thought Sonic the Hedgehog would have a trilogy, not just a trilogy, but a critically acclaimed, financially successful trilogy, and would be kicking Nintendo, Disney's ass at this point. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of their CG films. I've always been more of an animation guy. Lean into what your strengths are. But I did not see this coming. I thought Mufasa would really put up a fight, but looking at the first week numbers, there is no doubt it is like triple the amount that they're making. Sonic 3 is doing very successfully.
That's the thing, yeah,
So
because I heard Nintendo Disney been trying to not only suppress trailers on X about it, but they've they forced a lot of the theaters that they have monopoly on it, so to speak, to show more films to get Christmas Day. But after that, it's been the rightful heir to the throne, if you will, the Simba, if you will, or Kimba, I should say, seems to have come back. So here we are, and I really think it does say a lot about the old guard in the face of the upcoming year. It, you gotta you gotta listen to the audience, give them what they want, but also do what's right ultimately, which is not which doesn't mean digging your heels into what was. It just means if you're in the audio industry, which I think Nintendo is notorious for not getting sometimes. So often it's a lot of times they do, but sometimes they act as though they can't empathize with the player. It's case in point, the old games that we want to play, and they're just acting like, oh well, it's RIP. We're gonna take our ball and go home. And it's like, why? Just make an avenue. But again, there are reasons, but if you don't, then people find other ways to get what they want. Hence Street Fighter Rainbow Edition, So yeah. So I'm sorry, Saja, I probably jumped on when you were gonna say something.
No, I
Oh,
was just
were you saying gonna say something, Saja?
Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Well,
I just feel like there's a lot of
running to
similar
the edge
issues.
of
There's a lot of similar issues in Hollywood right now, as well as in the gaming industry, with like very kind of mirroring each other in terms of like these, companies and corporations, and even with like movies and TV shows, it's like you don't own them anymore. Like you're just subscribing and
yeah.
renting them, and they can choose to like put it in a vault and lock the door, and nobody will ever have access to see it again.
true.
That is it. You
I
said
love
So
streaming was so successful because it put so much in your hand, but now companies are gatekeeping and clawing back their content. And how many subscriptions do we need? It's just going to end up like cable. Like we're just going to have to buy packages of multiple
yeah,
streaming services. We
that
made
was
streaming to get away from that.
exactly.
exactly, dude.
And we're just going back
Because
to where we started so they make their money again off of us.
I think the way to get people happy is to give them a means to earn, which is why I'm really keen on this YouTube thing too. I mean, I know that's the tough thing is that not everybody is a successful YouTuber. So a lot of us can be in the same bucket as a lot of us making something for free, but at the very least we get a payoff of connecting with people. And so if you give people, I don't know, by this PlayStation 5 giving you a means to stream, you potentially have a means to make an income to be playing the game. If you give people a means to profit, not necessarily with profits, but to actually benefit in a way that's adequately compensatory for losing ownership of a lot of these services that we need to get away from the monopolies. It's something at least until something gets smoothed out. I was pacified, but no, that's what I'm talking about. The problem is being infantilized too much, so I think we need these little suckers. I don't know to keep us content. No, just be fair. That's the frustrating thing. It's just being kept, having ourselves gate kept that we're of course able to figure out ourselves, but because people want to keep hold of their monopolistic money, they're just going to try and screw people over. But oh well, we'll see what the next year brings. So I think the inclusion, I think the switch to, I think it's going to be more of a social heavy project. So it's just got to make sure the tech is good enough to make it seamless. And we'll have to figure out the rest game wise.
We'll know soon enough. They have to announce it by March, but I reckon they'll get ahead of the curve, and January there'll be rumors, and February we'll get something. And March, boom, we'll have the big announcement. They won't hold it back for Christmas. It'll be out very soon. They'll announce it, get the hype, get everyone excited, and then they'll have lots and lots to go on. But soon, soon. Thank you guys for coming and talking. I love these chats.
Yeah, I love it
I
so much.
appreciated being here, so thank you.
Oh, Saja, please come back and please we'll talk after about PlayStation 5 setup thing. You guys can do that. I'll mention it in the DMs, but we're gonna get
After this, give me your game attack.
Yeah. Catch you
Okay.
people. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's if you're watching on Eve, whatever time it is for you. We'll catch you later, people. Thank you so much. Peace.
Peace.